I'm Gary Jessey. I'm reading from Boys in the Woods by Rudy Little. And of course I did some of the editing in the book. This one is Mountain Golf Course. Mountain Golf Course. One day Rudy was watching golf on our black and white TV when Robert said, "What is golf?" Rudy replied, "Golf is a game that involves hitting a golf ball with clubs of different angles placed at the end of a club to give more or less distance toward a hole in the ground. The object is to hit the ball as few times as possible from one place to the other, putting the ball finally in the hole." Robert said, "I want to play golf." Ronnie said, "I want to play golf because watching it on TV is boring." Rudy agreed. "Okay, let's go out and make a golf course." Rudy looked inside the outbuilding and picked up 3 softballs we had found at the slate dump last month. Rudy told Robert to find at least 5 empty quart-sized orange juice cans. Robert asked, "Why do we need 5 orange juice cans just to play golf?" Rudy replied, "We'll put the orange juice cans in the ground and hit the softballs in the holes." Rudy then told Ronnie to find 12 sticks that we could use as clubs. Once Ronnie came back with the sticks, we cut each one of them about 3.5 feet long. Next, Rudy said we need to cut a limb off a poplar tree at least 3 inches thick. We took our bow saw and cut a limb off a poplar tree located across the road. Ronnie asked, "Why do we need this limb?" Rudy replied, "We'll cut 4 different angles on the end of each piece, about 5 inches long, with back of each piece being flat. Each piece has a different angle, so we can hit the ball high with one club, but straight with the other club." Robert asked, "What's an angle?" Rudy told Robert that an angle was based on the circle of 360 degrees. If you put both arms straight out from your side, this is 180 degrees. Then Rudy told Robert to keep his left arm straight and raise his right arm straight above his head, and that was 90 degrees. Rudy said, "We'll cut one club face 80 degrees, and this will be our 1 wood. Then the 60-degree angle club will be our 2 wood. The 45-degree angle club will be our 3 wood, and the last club, 20 degrees, will be our 4 wood." Robert said, "So if I leave my left arm halfway between being straight above my head and straight out from my side, this is 45 degrees? Rudy said, "Yes, that's correct." After we cut and nailed each one to the sticks, we each had a golf set. We nailed a board at the bottom of a stick to make a putter. We used a can opener and took the top off each can. We were very careful to bury each can in the ground so the top of the can was even with the ground. We buried the last can up on the hill behind our house. Rudy showed his brothers how to take a piece of clothesline and tie a loop together on one end so the clubs would stay together, and then tie a loop on the other end big enough to go over their shoulders and connect to the loop with our clubs at our waist. Robert said, "I feel like Fred Flintstone." Ronnie said, "Be quiet, Barney." We all laughed, but we were also very competitive and couldn't wait to play this homemade golf course. Rudy said, "Okay, now let's go across the road and practice." Ronnie said, "I don't want to practice." Robert remarked, "Practice? How are we going to practice?" We went across the road and Rudy said, "When we hit the ball up the hill, it'll roll back down to us. This will give us an idea about how to play." We each hit the softball with different clubs and got a feeling of how each angle-faced club worked. Now it was time to play golf. We decided to start across the creek and let the can we buried next to the apple tree at the end of the yard be the first hole. Then we'd stay there and hit toward the can we buried next to the natural gas tank, and that would be the second hole. We'd start from there and hit back into the middle of the yard, and back to the can we buried on the other side of the house for the third hole. Then we'd start from that hole and hit to the back of the pump house as our 4th hole. From there, we'd hit the ball up the hill to the last hole. We all agreed this was the golf course. We decided on using paper, rock, and scissors to see who would go first. Ronnie and Rudy picked rock, and Robert showed paper, so Robert would go first. Ronnie and Rudy picked up a club each, and each of us put one hand on top of the other, with Ronnie finally winning, so Ronnie would go second, Rudy last. Robert said, "What club should I use?" Rudy told him to use the 1 wood because it would make the ball roll further. Instead, Robert hit the ball with the 4 wood, and it went straight up in the air and landed about halfway to the hole. Robert turned to Rudy and said, "That ball went high up in the air. You lied to me." Rudy told Robert he didn't lie to him because he used the 4 wood instead of the 1 wood he told him to use, and Robert just said, "Oh, no." Ronnie hit the ball with his 2 wood, and the ball rolled just short of the hole. Rudy hit the ball with the 1 club, and it rolled just past the hole. Robert then asked, "What club should I use next?" Rudy told him to use the 3 wood, and Robert asked, "Is this the 3 wood?" Rudy said it was, and Robert hit the ball within a couple feet of the hole. Ronnie used his putter and rolled the ball within inches of the hole. He was so mad and started to wrap the club around the apple tree when Rudy stopped him. So Ronnie just tapped the ball in the hole. Now Robert hit the ball with his putter and it rolled straight in the hole. He was jumping up and down when Ronnie mumbled, "Beginner's luck." Rudy took his time and put the ball within a few inches of the hole. Ronnie looked at Rudy and commented, "Makes you mad, doesn't it?" Rudy tapped the ball in the hole and said, "Yes, it does." Since we were tied, Robert went first again. The second hole was up the hill next to the gas tank. Robert decided to use his 1 wood and hit the ball really hard. It rolled up the bank and stopped about 5 feet from the hole. Ronnie used his 3 wood and the ball went way up in the air, landing on the gas tank, bouncing back down the hill. Ronnie turned purple, and again Rudy had to stop him from breaking his club on that apple tree. Rudy used his 2 wood, and the ball landed about 10 feet past the hole. Ronnie used his 4 wood and hit the ball about a foot from the hole. He said, "Oh yeah, now that's how to do it. Oh yeah." Then he putted the ball in the hole. Rudy used his putter, and it stopped a few inches from the hole. Robert putted about a foot from the hole and then putted it in. Rudy putted his ball again in. Again, we were tied. The third hole was located on the other side of the house. Robert said, "So I need to hit the ball in the middle of the yard?" The rest of us said yes. He hit the ball in the middle of the yard with his 4 wood. Ronnie hit his ball next to Robert's using his 4 wood, and then Rudy used his 1 wood and rolled the ball in the middle of the yard. We really had no problem with this hole, and again stayed tied. The fourth hole was behind the pump house. Robert hit the ball with his 4 wood and was way short. Ronnie used his 2 wood, hitting the ball way too far past the hole. Rudy used his 3 wood, and the ball landed on the hill behind the hole. The ball rolled down the hill next to the hole. Rudy acted like it was no big deal, but he loved it. Rudy putted it in and took the lead. Robert then used his 4 wood, and the ball was about 4 feet from the hole. Ronnie used his 4 wood, and the ball landed about 8 feet from the hole. Robert putted his ball in and whispered, "Come on, Ronnie, miss it." Ronnie putted his ball just past the hole and, angered, threw his club up the hill. After he went and got his club, he putted the ball in. Rudy was in first place. Robert was second. Ronnie was last place. The last hole was way up the hill on a flat spot. Rudy took his 3 wood and hit the ball as hard as he could. It landed under the flat and would have rolled off the hill if some weeds hadn't stopped. Robert hit his ball with his 1 wood. The ball rolled up the hill close to the flat and rolled all the way back down into the yard. Ronnie used his 1 wood and hit the ball so hard it rolled up the hill past the hole and rolled down to within 5 feet of the hole. Ronnie said, "Robert, did you see that? Now, tell me to miss it again." Robert walked over and hit the ball with his 3 wood. The ball rolled back down the hill close to where he started. He hit the ball with his 2 wood, and the ball landed short of the flat and rolled back down the hill again. Before Rudy could say anything, he hit that ball with his 1 wood so hard it rolled within 4 feet of the hole. Ronnie used his putter and putted the ball in the hole. Now it was Robert's turn. He used his putter and putted the ball within inches of the hole. He putted the ball in and threw his putter down the hill and said, "This is a silly game. I never want to play golf again." Rudy used his forewood and hit the ball softly up next to the hole. He used his putter and putted the ball in. Rudy looked at Ronnie and Robert and said, "I only have one word for you two." And they both said, "What?" Rudy replied with a smile, "Losers!" Both of them tackled him and everyone went rolling down the hill. Mamaw and Patty heard us and said, "What are you boys doing?" Robert answered, "Rudy was bragging about winning a golf game, so we're going to beat him up." Ronnie added, "He was bragging about winning and called us losers." Mamaw looked at Rudy and said to him, "Self-brag is half a scandal." Then she looked at his brothers and said, "Now you boys start behaving or I'll give you a spanking." Rudy asked Robert, "What's a scandal?" Rudy replied, "It's when somebody does something mean and gets caught doing it or talking about it to others." He then spoke to both his brothers. "I'm sorry I called you two losers, and I won't brag about winning again." Mamaw remarked, "Now that's the right way to act. Remember to always be respectful, and people will always respect you." Rudy said, "But Mamaw, I really did win." Mamaw said, "I know you did, Rudy. Patty said you only won because she didn't play. Now get in the house and get ready for supper." Ronnie, Rudy, and Robert walked to the house saying with disgust, "Girls, this was a good day."